Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 49 of Competitive Magic with the Karnies. I'm your host from Italy, Andrea Mengucci, and joining me we have Javier Dominguez from Spain.
Hello, everyone.
And that's it. It's just me and Javier today. Anthony is very busy testing standard for Worlds. I managed to book a special session of just 1 hour with Javier, and here we are, Javier.
Well,
How have you been? Did you
well,
have a
I'm
great
surprised you
weekend?
think Anthony is testing. As far as I know, Anthony is just like in Seattle right now. He just saw that Waltz of Rain does not have a reprint of Fires of Invasion, and that just tilted him so much. He's took a flight to US, is straight to to the WotC office to protest there in front. So if you ever, if you see Anthony Lee from on Seattle around, just say hello to him from our, from send
At the
regards. Yeah.
beginning, At the beginning, I believed you. I thought he had like a layover in Seattle or something. I was like, wow, he didn't say anything. No, okay, yeah, makes sense, makes sense. Wazzle Drain does not as far as we mentioned, but there's a bunch more enchantment, especially in draft. There's the special enchantment thing you can find. Like today, I opened a bunch of boosters for some giveaways, and I got Blood Moon. You can open Blood Moon in draft.
Yeah, doesn't
It's
seem
gonna
very
be
useful
exciting.
though. Yeah.
No, it
Well,
doesn't.
I will talk about this later. What about your weekend? What did you do? What happened in Carney Land this last weekend?
Oh yeah, it was great. Had a classic best weekend of the year, which is the Four Seasons weekend. For those of you that know, it's a weekend in Bologna, Italy, and it's just Legacy and Modern, which are only paper Magic. So many people. Both main events had over 400 players, although slight behind 410, so it was only 9 rounds of Swiss. I also had the European Legacy Master, which is this like very large not Italian, sorry, European legacy event with every players needed to be invited, and I was invited to the event, managing to the with the player of the year leaderboard that the Italians set up, which was very cool. And yeah, so ate great food, hang around with people, and other very good friends of mine. One very good friend of mine tapated the modern one. So amazing weekend. And today we can talk about the results of that tournament as well as the SCG that happened in America. So those were like modern and legacy, very big events. Almost all these events had 400 players. So, decent size tournaments. And the new set, Wells of a Drain, was already legal in paper. In fact, it won the Legacy Masters on Saturday with 4 copies of Bezish the Mirror. Congrats to Frantisek Yuda for this win. And again, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can see both mine and Javier's face, as well as just the decks that we share and talk about. So yeah, Bezish the Mirror in Legacy, he's already been doing a great job, and I made sure to purchase a playset just in case to do some buy high never sell on the pre-release day. The last time with Orcish Bowmaster went well, so let's see with this one.
Yeah, I still don't have the masters. I actually like this deck, by the way. Let's talk about this later, but yeah, I mean it's a weekend that's very good to be at. Whenever I can, I actually go to the Four Seasons. I just couldn't justify going there just so early before Worlds. But definitely, I mean, I was a
Yeah,
little bit jealous this weekend. I also saw the picture of you and
yeah.
people in my favorite my official favorite restaurant right now. So
In
the
the world,
yeah, it's my official restaurant. My
same,
official favorite
same.
restaurant. Yeah, it's just. I mean, I don't know if they. I
Oh,
don't know if they know, but it's clear to me.
the night before, so I go to Vegas and my flight is at 6 a.m. in Bologna, and I don't live near Bologna, so usually I have to take like a 2 hours train. So what I'm doing is the night before I'll go to Mulino on Friday. They close at 3 a.m. and I know the owner very well. He plays Magic. So I said, I'm just bringing Magic cards and I'll just stay there until 3 a.m. I
And they go
called a
to the
bunch of
flight.
friends. I called a bunch of friends and yeah, we'll meet in Bologna at the restaurant until 3 a.m. and then I go to the airport.
That's a
Yeah,
good plan.
so
We're
that's a
actually
good
meeting in
plan
Vegas again.
indeed.
That's cool.
Yeah. I'll be in Vegas for 10 days actually.
Well, that's
I'll be.
I mean, you, me, and Anthony, we're meeting so much this year compared to what we thought it would be. You remember at the beginning of the season?
Yeah,
Like
yeah, for
we
sure.
were not none of us was qualified for any tournament.
And the funny thing
You
is
know,
that every
and
time we see each other, we keep on saying this could be the last time we all see each other.
yeah, I mean, with Anthony especially. I mean, obviously you and me want to see ourselves more because 4 seasons or whatever. But like, yeah, it's just I don't know. It just sometimes I think about it. It's like, wow, we could have not seen it coming, and it's gonna be all of us
Yeah,
together. That's pretty cool.
yeah. The Italians all made matching outfit. Every Italian at the European had this like blue shirt with Italian flag on, had my name on. This is a very cool thing that Il Meta is that this guy Nicola, and he just did this thing for everyone. He also is a lover of Bezic the Mirror Storm. He actually sent me your list of Storm in Araruya. I think you made it, right?
Yeah,
You made a list
I
with
did.
yeah. And he said, "Tell Javier that Lotus Petal is better than Chrome Mox." He said. In
Okay.
your storm list, how are they called? Aruya Wayfinder, because you
Oh,
posted a
it's
list
better
for
because
Bezic the
you can
Mirror.
just play as will to get it back. I see. I see. I see. I mean,
Yeah,
I
because
made the
he
list.
was at.
Obviously, we have been able
Mm.
to play any game, right? So
Yeah, for sure, for sure. He was at some point, I believe, 5-0, and then didn't make it. But he's and he has like all this just the most extremely strange art on everything. Like he has all the miscut cards, and yeah, it's so strange. But anyway, that was super cool. Again, the Italian legacy community is great, and I was very happy to just had another weekend of magic with them.
how did you do? How did
Cool.
your events go? Did you
Okay,
succeed?
so on Friday there was a team event. This time I was not team with you, so we did not top eight. Now jokes aside, we didn't top eight. I was playing Mono Black in modern. The tournament ended very fast because my teammate felt sick and we kind of dropped as soon as we got a second loss. And then on Saturday, I played the ELMM with Blue Black Scam in Legacy. Didn't go well. I went 1-2. And then I joined a Legacy side event to kind of like understand what I was going to do the next day because there was the Legacy main event the next day, and fine, 4-2. So I got my entry fee back. And then on Sunday there was the Legacy main event. I won the first round, lost to Four Caller, who ended up top hating the event, and then in the second round I lost to the player that won the Elam the day before with Mono Black. So that list we were seeing the Mono Black deck with main deck Leland of the Void. He ended up going Leland of the Void both games and on turn one, and then just besieged the mirror for Helm. A few turns later, I was quickly dispatched. So my tournament ended there. I dropped and I played a modern side event because I love to play side event. I never stop. I want to play 9 rounds of Magic every day if I can. And I played my mono black deck in modern, which went fine. I went 5-1. I got a decent prize. There was like over 100 people in the modern side event. And I just kind of brewed up this mono black deck alongside Gibber Nassif. And I like it. I think it's a good deck. We're basically cutting Cabal coffers from mono black. That's what we're doing.
But still playing the Field of Ruin. What is the Field of Ruin for here? What does it do?
Yeah, so the Field of Ruin is important because mostly there's a bunch of cards that are very good against control deck, like Urza Saga, Tron Lands, or even Amulet Titan, and you get to, get a better matchup there, as well as sometimes just Stone Rain colors. For example, against four color Omnath, it's not a great matchup, but you can like Stone Rain them out of red. Or against, for example, Mono Blue Murktide, you can also Stone Raid them of red. I don't know what does it do, and I think that you kind of like a lot of swamps anyway, so you just get to play this. Also, they enable Fathom Push
I think
instead
this
of
deck.
taking
I
one
think it
damage.
actually plays good cards, but I'm saying like, why? What is a big payoff to like the payoff to play Mono Black is just full of ruin. Like, is there any not like any single card you would like to splash here? That's that's when I see this deck,
Yeah,
I feel like wow, there must be like one card. It's like just so good for you to
maybe
like. in Sanctifier back.
Leyline Binding.
I'm also like
Leyline.
Sanctifier back. Like even like Cyborg card that's like a complete banger. Like I'm just feeling like,
Mm.
well, I mean, you're not getting that payoff. Like in Modern, playing a second color as a splash is so easy. Like even for one card, even Final Push or Terminate. I don't know. I will have to think more about it. But like, I'm surprised that there's not a way to just make this a little bit better by playing one more color. Just keeping the
For
shell.
example, I beat Tron in the side event, and I just stone rain them because then they don't find the lands anymore, and they just don't go above 4 or 5 lands, and you just you know take
Yeah,
them
no,
out
absolutely, absolutely. I mean,
of that
obviously, Final
plan.
Rain is good against Tron. Even though I think we played this matchup a little bit, and it was not as bad as it looks, but definitely, like, Final Rain obviously good against
Shieldred,
Tron. Yeah.
I it must be said that my opponent didn't play Dismember. They had Giganta, so my Shieldred
Oh,
just came down
well,
and just
that's
like
on them then.
no, I know. Yeah, yeah, definitely play Dismember if you play Tron. But no, outside of that, again, I'm not claiming this deck to be a great or anything. But I enjoy honestly. Like we were talking about this, and I just enjoy playing new things, new decks. Like I love Murktide and everything, but when I sit down, having the idea that my opponent still doesn't know what I'm doing, it's a thing that really doesn't happen to me. it's and then whenever I can, I just really want to do it. Like, yeah, because people like didn't know if I had coffers. They had Blood Moon in their deck, which is pretty terrible against this deck. So
True, true. Like, didn't know. Yeah. No, I mean, also it's kind of fun, right? Because you're gonna see yourself in unique situations in tournaments. I can see why this is fun to play, and I'm actually like, I'm not saying this deck looks bad. I'm saying this deck looks like it could be made better with more colors, probably. But I actually don't think this deck, like, why this deck will be bad. I mean, you have some good cards in the format, and
so the
you have a
deck,
good
I think
interaction.
this deck, yeah, the deck has some flaws, but I really like Dothy Boy Walker. Although it's not easy to cast in the post cyber matchup. Uh, I mean, overall, I think Beseech the Mirror was mostly like just it was legal. I had it, I played it. I don't. It was not. It was never particularly good. Like the games where it was easily winning, it won them even faster. And I even had like to go diabolic Twitter one time. So I'm not even sure it's that good. You have few enablers. You have new spell bomb and orcs. Or it's the easier one. You can sack a ring. Overall, yeah. I mean, not that much else to say. We can maybe go through the results of the people that actually did well in the main events.
Sure.
What about that?
Let's go for it. Let's start with the.
Well,
Maybe we're gonna start with Four Seasons because we're talking about it anyway. Yeah.
yeah, let's start with Four Seasons. So again, for those of you who don't know Four Seasons, it's a 9 round tournament, and you don't play the top eight. The split is kind of like everyone's the same. So from first to eighth is the same prize, and you just kind of like leave after the Swiss is over. Also because it's very late. So the first place that you
The,
see
the
in the
reason the
deck
reason
is
there just
just
for the listeners is because dinner is have priority. No one wants to skip dinner for playing a top eight. That's why.
also like you have another main event the next day. So kind of like 9 rounds, and
I'm just
then
saying.
you just leave. So yeah, first place, a bunch of players went 8-1. I think the top three players went 8-1. So Simon Astreire. Oh, by the way, there's a lot of foreigners. Like, not that is a bad thing. Of course, everyone's very welcome in Bologna, but Four Season used to be an just an Italian event with mostly Italians, and now it's just a European event. Like now it's basically just a GP.
I mean,
Like,
because but you know what it is, right? Because you go there and then you tell your friends are good, and since we have friends from other places, they're like at some point like, oh, I'm just gonna come there, and see what's up, and then people's like,
yeah.
well, I'm gonna come again. I guess that's it.
Yeah. So 8-1 with Ardent Scales. No new cards, although in the next day, on Sunday, I played a side event and I actually got paired against a Scales player who had a new card in their list.
Which
I
card?
mean, we said we were only talking about the top eight decks, but actually there was a new card. It's called Sir Ginger, the Meal
Oh,
Ender, and it says it's a 2 mana 3/1, and it says It has trample, X-proof, and haste as long as an opponent controls a planeswalker. The planeswalkers that might control are Brandisix, Teferi, Karn, a bunch of planeswalkers that are widely played. And then whenever another artifact you control is put into a graveyard, you put a +1/+1 counter on this and scry one. So if you have Arkman Ravager and Ardent Scales or the Ozolith, you can just make this thing a huge trample X-proof haster. And yeah, I mean, it doesn't sound that bad to me.
It's also a cookie, so it's like the biggest cookie you've ever seen. I like this card. I like the design. I think it's charismatic. Like I just the fact that this is the old rain card that were in the trailer. I like it.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is a cool card, and I think it's actually like I'm not sure it's good enough to be in scales, but definitely like good enough to try because it goes well with those cards and the ratio. I mean, even 3/1 for 2 mana is not that bad by itself anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, Simon, the player who top eight with skills, had one copy of the One Ring in the main deck. It was just mostly classic skills cards and one ring. Uh,
Well, One Ring
yes,
here
just
makes a little
grindy
bit of
cards.
sense because you're playing stirrings. Like other stirrings make it so like
Yeah.
it's not like you need to draw it, which it's totally fine to just draw play one card just to draw it. But if you can search for it with stirrings, then it's much better.
Yeah, I think the mono black matchup is very good. Mono black beats hard and skills. If you're wondering how my assignment match went,
Damnation,
uh,
boom.
they just the One Ring. Honestly, skills has such a bad time against the One Ring. You cast it, you fog them, and then you just untap. You have three extra cards and all the mana untapped. Plus, I have Field of Ruin and the other land to blow up both Saga and Nexus.
Oh, true.
It was very easy. So yeah.
Yeah, I can see why this.
Just
Yeah, it makes sense.
how in modern there's like a million decks and I just can't know all the cross matchups, but
No, absolutely. I had no idea, but it makes sense. Yeah, you sometimes you sit down and play a matchup, and you're like, I have no idea if this matchup's good or bad. But
yeah,
then you
exactly. You
play
just
the
have
game or
no
whatever, you
idea.
stop playing the game, and you're like, okay, this is good. Like in the PT, I played against Breach with Hortron, and I had no idea if the matchup was good or bad. Like I never played the matchup, and I was like, all right, that's. But then I was playing the game, and I was like, oh, this deck can outbeat Karn. That's good news.
Current great creator, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
like
Yeah.
sometimes it happens. Sometimes it's the other way around, where you're like, start playing the matchup, and you're like, oh, I just, this is not good. It's fun.
Yeah, Carndiger Creator just straight up wins. Like the Dice Factory Tron. There's just a bunch of decks that goes on these days,
Yeah,
and
so many
yeah. Also, I
artifacts.
had I had sideboard Doubtful Walker, which stops everything of scales,
Oh, true.
and that yeah,
Yeah. No, I can see
it's
that. Yeah.
yeah.
Not the best matchup.
All right, let's move on to the second deck, which is Rack the Scam. There was two scam players in the top eight. They both went 8-1. The first one is Cusenza Vincenzo, and the second one is Andrea Riva. And Andrea Riva is a very good friend of mine. He already top eighted once the first season modern with scam, and he said that he listened to the Karnies and he played four copies of. Not Dead After All, and two copies of Undying Evil instead of the classic Feign Death, Undying Malice, and I'm sure 100% that that is the reason why he top 8.
100%.
The edge gained by Not Dead After All must have been huge.
The untapped
No,
creature.
jokes aside, he said he very often he got like sweeped, like Supreme Verdict Damnation, and the 2 damage matters so much that he like lethal with a Ragavan. And a small thing like that just lets you win like he beat Mono Black Coffers in the winning in, and he beat Four Color Omna the round before, and he said that that came up both times that they like sweeped and the damage from the ping thing came up.
It's just an improvement, right? Like it just
So
makes it like a little bit better. So
yeah,
why not take
that's
it?
an improvement. He also bought it for €3 each before the tournament, so he said it was a very good investment.
I mean, the scam just is gonna
Yeah,
stay the same. I think this is also a deck that's it's extremely good, of course, like maybe the best deck or whatever. But it's also not a deck that's gonna change too much. Like these cards are almost the best thing you can do in every class, like Ragavan and then Walker, an Orc, and then the 8 Elementals, and then the Scam cards, and then Thoughtseize, and then Fable. Like, you can say Fable maybe may become something else at some point, but all of the flex slots, like Terminate, Croxa, Blood Moon, or whatever, can actually become other cards until something like very. Until the next modern only set comes out, then things will change. But until then, I think this deck is very unlikely to change at all, I will say.
yeah. Yeah, for sure. He has this one Piccanino in the sideboard, which is not common. I guess it's for the one ring.
Yeah, it must be.
But yeah.
But yeah.
Another deck that had two copies in the top eight is Steamer Rhinos. Fourth place is my other very good friend Matteo Paolucci. He basically played the same list as Pivo that they were talking the night before, and Pivo insisted on the one main deck Mutavault. He was kind of like more of a doubter, and then he said he ended up just casting Flame of Anor with the one Mutavault four times. Um, in the tournament, just winning just games against Blue Eye Control, uh, killing Chalice and drawing two cards. They said he did it twice, and it's kind of like it's yeah. In Flame of Honor, it's most likely an improvement to Prismari Command that people played at the PT.
You know, it looks like a better card, and yeah, the lesson will be when in doubt, just listen to people, I guess.
For sure. And then Cyborg No Blood Moon. I remember when we were testing for the Pro Tour, I was pushing Team Arenas in the team, and I said No Blood Moon just to play No Blood Moon, play Magus instead. So here you see them. The next player Valerio had instead Blood Moon and no Maguses. Mostly I said that because Tron was a bad matchup for Rhinos, and I think Magus is much better than Blood Moon. Although again, you're listed dismembers now,
Yeah, our
so
experience
maybe
was the
things are
opposite. Like, yeah.
yeah, because you had dismembers. Yeah, I guess that was not very common.
No, it was not common at all.
So
I know, I know.
okay, number six we got Grill Andrea on Yawgmoth,
So there's
and
200 in the top 8, and you're not one of them?
I mean Andrea is a normal name.
I know, but there's two in
It's
the top 8.
probably
It's
like
still
one of the
like, still
most
not that common, I will say.
probably one with the most common name.
I see.
I don't know actually. There is a card that people have asked me about it from the new set that can go in Yawgmoth. What do you think about Agatha Soul Cauldron? This is a 2 mana legendary artifact that says you may spend mana as thought it was mana of any color to activate abilities of creatures you control. So this may come up, I don't know, on Yawgmoth Proliferate. I don't know if there's something else. Um, Creatures you control with a +1/+1 counter on them have all activate abilities of all creature exiled with this. And then the next part is relevant, of course, which is tap. Exile target creature from a graveyard. When a creature you control is exiled this way, put a +1/+1 on target creature. So Yawgmoth has a lot of creatures with activated ability, most importantly Yawgmoths, of course. And then you get to like tap and give a +1/+1 to something. I don't know what's the ruling with Grist.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, if this goes well with Grist, then we're talking about, like, wow, this is good. But if it
I
does
think you need
not
loyalty
work with
counter.
Griggs, it thinks
I
it's, I
think you
mean,
need loyalty
no, because
counters
loyalty,
to
you can
activate
get the loyalty with a
planeswalkers.
+1, right?
Oh, well, yeah, then.
I feel like if you exile a Grist with this, then all the creatures become Grists. But I might be
Yeah, creatures
wrong.
you control with +1/+1 counters have all activate abilities. Unfortunately, there's no Anthony
Yeah, he's
to
protesting.
answers
If we had Anthony,
our
will,
judge Arch.
so disclaimer, this might work or not. If it works, I mean, this basically just make our creatures be able to just do what they do, but still also get a token. That's probably good.
Yeah.
I mean, the
Yeah,
way
I'm
this
expecting this
goes,
to be like.
you can
Go ahead, sorry.
you can just get a wall of roots, mana, Yamamoth. Like,
Yeah,
worth trying. I mean, this might be fine as a one-off there, but this is
yeah, I was
not like a
thinking.
combo.
Yeah, I was thinking you cast this, you exile your elf or wall, your card immediately gives you 1 mana. It's like a mind. It's like a talisman. The turn it comes into play, and then later you can turn your creature into a Yawgmoth against Blur Murktide, for example.
Yeah, but Blur Murder also a deck that already wanted to have you like lone creatures anyway. Like most of the non-persist creatures will die. The thing is, this card also doubles as like a hearse-ish in a way. Like if like it's Murtide, you can actually attack the graveyard maybe. So there's this card. I mean, a bit doesn't seem
What do you
great, but
think?
if it works the way we think it works with Grist, plus can be Graveyard Hate against a scam or whatever, so they cannot like the scam and Fury, which is usually how they kill you in many situations. I think this card can be totally fine. Like, I think we can just play it as a one-off in Yamamoth, but good enough to try. I'm not sure if it's good enough to play. That will be my verdict here.
Yeah, yeah, interesting. There were no copies of Agatha Calderon in this list. There was a couple of Elven Chorus. No more the One Ring. There was a time where this deck had the One Ring, but
So they
I don't
think
see
now
it
Alvin Carlos
anymore.
is better than Ring. It might be. I mean, I never thought of playing that card in this deck, but it might make sense that it's better with like you can play Grease out of the Alvin Carlos. Can you? Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I
Yeah,
never
but
played. I played
course,
it with
for
the
those
Ring.
of
I
you
think the
that
Ring was good, but the issue with the Ring was Yamath. Like Yamath is made in a way where I mean you have to be careful with your lands because the deck is actually very bad at having low life total. Like sometimes with Yamath, you're at 5 life, and even if you summon your thing, you cannot actually win because life total is low. And the issue with Ring was some games your life will get low enough that the card will not be that good as you might have hoped. That's where I think this Alvin Courage might actually be good. Against decks like
yeah.
Ragdos, Ragdos, Scam
Yeah,
Evoke, whatever.
although now this is playing Shieldred, so maybe you can do the same combo that I do in Mono Black, Shieldred plus Ring. Yes.
Yeah, a little bit, but the thing is, what if they kill Shieldred? Like maybe Chorus is just like you can just play it anyway with Shieldred. Like I don't think you need to combo Shieldred with anything else to win games with Shieldred. Like I was invited to the Modern League this week. I actually played there. I forgot about that, but like it was a very cool experience. I wanted to say like we had Jim Davis here actually beating Yandingo with Shieldred on a mulligan, or just he just played Shieldred and had to do nothing else for the whole game. Like he didn't need any support, any interaction, anything to beat the scam with Shieldred. The Shieldred was enough to win the match. Yeah, I think
Yeah,
Shieldred is good enough. I think Mango.
let's talk about it because we forgot to mention it. It was last Wednesday.
Yeah.
You got invited to the Modern Super League, which is these four pods of four. Tell the people
So we played
how does it
versus
work?
four parts of 4 players, and then we move to winners bracket and loser bracket. Actually, we'll be alive for. I am still alive in the league. I will play in the. Will be playing the losers bracket. I think in like
How did it
four
go?
weeks
How
or
did it go
so. I
first?
will definitely announce on Twitter. And I actually like this kind of play a lot. I'm very glad they invited me because I think this like 4 player situation where you can make a lot of metagaming decisions. I think they're very interesting. Like I think they're very deep in terms of like what you do. Obviously, it's still Magic, it's still Modern or whatever, but you can just do a lot of small things. Like Jim Davis, for example, thought I could be playing Tron. Like he just put Breaking the Ice in the Yamath deck. This kind of things. Like you have to tweak your deck specifically against the players you're playing. Like suddenly you're not playing against a metagame, but you're playing against different individuals. So you have to make your metagame decisions according to those individuals. And I think that's very fun. And so I was really glad. I mean, I got to enjoy this experience. We also so the way this goes, I don't know if you know, Mengu, but it's 4 players, right? So 2 command and 2 play. And
Yeah.
I think that's very. I was very. That was the first time I was involved in something like this. Usually you command or you play, but here you were like playing, commenting, and you were commenting with a player, but you were talking about how you will play next and the such, and it was very fun. I'm definitely gonna watch next week, and I it was very fun to be part of this. So check it out because yeah, I also played Hammer Time to a stellar 0-2-0-2. So I did not win a game.
Oh.
Yeah, that was not very good. I also didn't run particularly well, of course. I had like a very close game where I just died to one of persist against creativity, but definitely didn't love my hammer hands. I think hammer was fine, but I missed the shot. Like Jim Davis presented Yamath, which is not great for hammer. Jandingo played scam, and Mason played creativity. So I don't know why I probably should have played Rhinos, but definitely I didn't want to play Tron, and I think Hammer was better than Tron, but I think definitely Rhinos or something else that even like Scam or a control deck for color will be fine also. But yeah, Hammer just
Yeah,
got
I believe.
sliced.
Yeah, today as we record, there's the pod of Carmen, Nathan, Stoyer, Corey, and Simon. Yeah. I also was invited, but I declined as it started at like 11:30, and my schedule is very strict. I want to stream every day at 8:30/9 a.m. And yeah, I'm glad to see that you're competing, and I hope that you can get somehow. I didn't quite understand how can you get back? Isn't this like only 2 people from every pod advance that can
No, it's
pick?
like think of it as like a double elimination, but instead of 2 players, it's 4 players. So now I'm on the loser bracket. Like if you
Oh,
think of this single elimination, double elimination, sorry, it's easier. It's a double elimination, but with four instead of two, so it's the same. Like now I'm losing brackets, so next time I play, if I lose, I'm out.
I
That's it.
understand.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's
okay,
easier now.
that's
It's
cool.
easier this way, right? Yeah, I think
Yeah,
I didn't quite know until I look at it. It was like, oh, it's just the same. You remember when we played the Mythic Championships, the top eights? It's very similar to that. Not exactly,
yeah,
but very similar. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Next time I will get
Let's
them.
keep on
Yeah. Let's
going.
go back to the
Yeah,
Andrea
let's keep.
tournaments.
Yeah, there's Ricardo Puglia, the number seven of this top eight, and actually, Javier, I streamed this morning with this deck, just can control with this undoing and Narset, and I got a 5-0. Ooh.
Trophy,
Um,
trophy.
yeah, I got a trophy with just can control. I got the combo Narset Days Undoing a couple of times, back breaking. Yeah, this list, the craziest thing of this list, actually, there's two crazy things. The first one is that this list did not play Kaira, and I immediately cut a random card from the sideboard and added Kaira because it's free, and I would like to play with my free companion in my Soichi deck. So, that was one thing. And the second thing is that this list doesn't play Counterspell and
Or
plays a
Force of
Reprieve
Negation.
instead. Yeah, and plays a Reprieve instead.
That's
And
wild.
just your Reprieve was great. Like I had my spell countered so many times and I just reprieved it back. And it just feels so much better than just countering your counters. And also I got paired against Rhinos. I reprieved the Rhino card. It's just
I mean,
yeah,
this is
overall
the thing is, you said the sky control. I don't think if you look carefully, this is not the sky control, is it? This is not the sky control. Why is
you
this
have
a control
control
deck?
elements, you have Supreme Verdict, you have I don't know,
I don't think this deck is still
the
a control
Fairy.
deck. It feels more like a tempo prison deck. Like you're not trying to deal with everything. You're trying to deal with everything to delay things until you can narset the annoying. Like that's when you
Yeah,
play
no, I
eight
mean,
eight cards that just pitch, because you're gonna pitch them so you actually have the narset and empty board, and then they just die to the combo. That's how I feel this deck is built.
also I had Gyro Reach Sanitarium. For those of you who don't know, you combo with Narset, like in their upkeep, you just make them draw this card and then they just keep their draw step. So you just lock them out if they have zero cards in hand,
Yeah, like I'm
which
pretty sure
is
this deck is
pretty
also
good.
built in a way where you're gonna go upkeep tap fire eyes the Rhino style, you know? Upkeep tap fire eyes and then just play Narset and then subtlety or solid do whatever they do and then just dies annoying. Like I think that's
Yeah,
how the deck is built.
yeah, that's how I beat Tron. I went turn three Narset on the play, subtlety their card, and just
Exactly,
days
but this
undoing
is
in my
not a
turn.
control game. That's not what a control deck does in modern. Control deck just counter spells, and then plays a ring, and then draws, and then counter spells more. Like this is a different deck. I think this is more like a just kite tempo combo. Obviously, it can act as a control deck as well, but this is not built to be that deck. I think that's why these decisions. I mean, they make sense to me. Like this reprieve, like all the subtleties, they actually make sense with an Arset plan. I think like I agree with the Kahira, obviously, but other than that, this deck is it does make sense. Like what this deck is doing, it does. If you cut a Fire Ice for counter spells, for example, this will be way worse tempo deck for that reason. Like you can just also yeah, I think Fire Ice here is designed to tap a lot of cards. Like just tap every time on the play, just
Yeah,
tap it. Yeah.
I really did not miss Counterspell. Like,
Yeah, but because
yeah,
it's different deck. Yeah. So I will say this is just Sky Narset or just Sky isn't doing maybe not just Sky Control.
yeah. In the finally, we
Interesting.
have a Spanish. Finally, we have a Spanish player rounding up the top eight, Borja Munoz, and he got there with a 61 card Omnath deck. Without Up the Beanstalk, that was a card I was looking forward to see in the modern top eights or just modern players. But this is just four color Omnath, and yeah, honestly, they had Fury too, so the really ready for Up the Beanstalk, but no Up the Beanstalk.
Yeah, it feels like they just put the card that will make Abdomen Stalk better, but they did decide Abdomen Stalk was not good enough, which still, without playing, it's hard to tell. Obviously, I don't know if they had time to try, but probably not,
Yeah, for
Like,
sure. I mean, nobody really attempted to test
yeah.
the card. Literally
So,
coming out the
like
same
if you play like
day.
a tournament like this, so let's say Abdomen Stalk is either like good enough or it's too bad. Like, it's not that bad idea just to not play with it in the first tournament because if it's too bad, you just making it impossible to win with it. Obviously, you're missing out if the card's great, but if you're not very sure, I mean, I would have played it,
Yeah,
but
so
that would have been risky. That's
this, yeah, this was again on screen. I'm sharing your Wayfinder
yeah.
list, and you have three up the beanstalk with delighted halfling. Tomorrow, I believe on Magic Online the card will already be legal on Monday morning for us.
Yes.
I have a deck list ready to stream tomorrow. I want to try without the halfling. I have my Kahea companion.
Put more Furies though. Like the
After
idea up here is up the beanstalk on one ring is that you put the two cards together, so you can use speech elementals every time. So if you play, you can play more Furies over like Fable. Like you don't need Fables if you play beanstalk and ring, do you? Like you'll have enough cards.
Yeah, I just wanted to have more red cards. I think your list only has 12, which is very scary for me because you only have Fury, Omnath, and the Red and Six. So I feel like I wanted to have a bit more. I don't know.
Well, but you can get Fable for Fury and still have a good amount of red cards.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know. It's just Fable is also like, how this deck is like just land card advantage sometimes, just flood always. So I like the Fable
Yeah.
effect of filtering your draws that you might just. But again, it's just a magical league.
Yeah, we will. I mean, I think in 2 3 weeks or whatever, people will actually
Yeah,
figure out how
exactly. We
good.
will.
I
Yeah,
believe in the hype.
yeah,
They
yeah.
they are good
Unfortunately, there
common
was
sense.
nobody. Yeah, nobody did well with Omnath. Even in the SCG Columbus, there was not Columbus. I don't know where it was. Even the SCG, yeah, Columbus. There was a bunch of Omnath in top eight, but none of them played. Played. I guess we can go. We can go quickly take a look at them as well.
All right, let's
We
go to
got
let's
Hammer.
travel to Columbus, where
Yeah, strong to Columbus. We have Hammer Time, who won the tournament, first place by Ebadiamin.
they won more games than I did with Hammer Time this week. Yes.
They did it. There's also another one in seventh place, which is a very common name in this SCG tournament, which is Travis Brown. He's the inventor of the Miracle Solitude build, which now has the Solitude only in the sideboard. And
Yeah, it's
uh,
still. I mean, I
and
remember we
there's
talking about this the first time. Yeah, still doing well for
yeah.
them.
And then as I said, there's two Omnat decks. This and they're both playing four preordains, which is something that uh, Gabriel and yeah, and it's just strange, right? Because
It kind of makes sense. Like, this is a deck that can afford to play cards like Preordain, but it's also like, I don't know.
Up the
Usually gonna
Beanstalk
take.
is better than preordain.
Huh?
Up the Beanstalk is better than
It's
preordain.
not better. It's different, right? Like, Up the Beanstalk is better in grandy matchups. Like, you're playing against something fast, it's not better. Like,
I
against
guess it.
Hammer, you definitely want to have Preordain. Preordain is actually good against Hammer. You don't need to,
Hmm,
draw 4 cards with
I
your
don't
card.
know.
Like, you need to dig for your answer. You need to dig for your solitude.
I guess preordain lets you draw the sideboard too, like you draw your one chalice.
Yeah, no, it
I don't
just it
know.
just gets filled up cyber, but also lets you keep more hands and whatever. You can keep Wildlanders with Preordain, for example, right? Like Preordain is just a good card. I'm just not sure it's good here, but I could see it. Like Four Color has a lot of issues that Anthony always likes to talk about them, but a lot of them can be fixed with a cantrip, so maybe that's good enough. This is
Uh,
scam again.
both
Yeah.
uh, both Scam had no debt after all. One was playing 4 and 2 Undying
The Anthony
Evil. One
split.
was playing
No, the Anthony split is too annoying
four
evil.
one. Yeah, this one is 4-1-1. Yeah, it probably just didn't own any Undying Evil. It was impossible to find in the room. But yeah, overall, there was a bunch of more Hammer than because I don't think I've seen Hammer doing well in Italy or maybe not even on Magic Online, but it does seem won the tournament over there in
Or
Columbus.
the actual play the top 8, top 12, I guess.
Yeah, the way the SCG works, I don't know if you know this, is that the top four after Swiss gets a bye, and then the top eight plays. Sorry, from the fifth to 12th, they play like a top eight,
I actually think it's
sort of.
cool. I mean, it's one more round. Like, I mean, it will not go very well with the four season structure where you want to have dinner. It doesn't go well with dinner. That's what I'm gonna. add to that.
Because i- in in Bologna you can split the top 12.
Yeah, yeah, just go
No, I'm
dinner.
joking.
I mean, I like having dinner. I like playing top eights
Yeah.
more, but having dinner is also fine. Yeah, I don't have a strong like. Obviously, this is better because it makes you more likely to play more rounds of Magic. So it's good if you play tournaments, but I don't have a super strong opinion on that.
If you're the next day you have a legacy main event of 9 rounds starting at 10 a.m.
Oh, so Borja
Um,
Borja did back to back. Ooh.
Borja Munoz. I don't know him. Have you ever heard of
I
him?
think I do. I think I know him, but I'm not sure. I think we've played actually even in a PT, but
Yeah, so
yeah.
Borja Munoz, this player from Spain, he finished in the top 8 of the modern
It's
event on
Munoz.
Saturday, and then
Munoz, Mengo.
Munoz.
Munoz.
Munoz. Okay, thank you. Borja, is it Borja?
Borja. Yeah, yeah,
Borja.
kinda. Borja, yeah.
Borja. He top 8 of the modern event on Saturday, ran it back on Sunday with a first place in Swiss. I believe he had 25 points, which is 8 wins and a draw. I don't know how he got there, but
ID, most likely. I mean,
yeah.
with this deck, it has to be an ID. You cannot possibly draw with a turn 1 kill deck, you
No,
know?
no, no. I'm saying that he didn't. I did the last round. Anyway, again, a lot of players, and let's take a look at the list because he was playing a very. It's like not a common deck at all. He was playing the card Urza's Workshop. Do you know what that is?
I'm not sure. I think it was like a land that can
It's
give
an
you two
Urza
lands if you
land.
have. Yeah, like, go ahead.
Yeah, it's an Urza land from Commander. It gives you a normal mana if you tap it, and if you have Metalcraft, you add a colorless for each Urza's land you control. And the other Urza's land you have is, of course, extra copies of this land because it's not legendary, and the three Urza Saga. So this is a colorless land that if you go like Urza's Workshop, and 3 mana artifacts, those two give you 2 mana each. And if you have three, they give you 3 mana each.
Yeah, I mean, this deck is just trying to go turn 1 kill a lot of times, turn 1 Karn or turn 1 Ring and tap it and draw a lot of cards.
So your payoffs are Cardiac Creator, Mystic Forge, the One Ring. And you say you combo. What's the combo? The combo is Paradox Engine alongside something like Great Monolith and the One Ring. You're probably gonna win the game.
Yeah, I actually played this deck for the Mogs where I play Shadow. I actually tried this for 2 or 3 leagues, a very similar deck. And this deck's actually very strong. Like, it can create some, like, turn 1 kills or turn 1 kills through Force of Will or whatever. Like, it does kill a lot super fast. The issue, though, is, like, this Stun and Silence type of cards where they just, like, kill you. But this is, like, Defense Grid main deck makes it so, like, matchups like Delver, they're supposed to be very bad. They're not as bad as they look. Like, this deck can actually also win games on Ursa Saga. And I didn't like the set on powders, but here the thing is you can actually cast them and they're not as bad as they look. And like there are some decks like this. You can also play with the version with the orb, the orb and the monolith with the
Oh
echo,
yeah, Torpor Orb.
the echo of the mesmeric
No,
orb.
Torpor Orb. Mesmeric Orb,
Yeah, so you
right.
deck
Mesmeric Orb
yourself
Echo
and you echo
means
fiends. I mean, that's not what this deck is doing, and I think this one is better because, like, Diamond here is like you look at the deck and you're like, well, Diamond's maybe not great, but
that
reality
is a
is,
diamond.
yeah, reality is though, like, it's one more from Metalcraft which you often like use, and you need to get Karn, Ring, or Fortune to play anyway, right? And Diamond is good with all these 3 cards, which actually makes it so you can just like make the mana count reliably. Like it's very good at powering turn 1 kills and turn 2 kills. One thing that's not obvious is, like, you see the sideboard. We have the actual suspects of Karn Wishboards, and you see the Masticore there.
Yeah, exactly. I was asking you what card is that because I don't see the name and I don't know that
It's a
card.
Masticore, the 5 mana Masticore from, I think it's Border Wars. And what it does is, in the upkeep, you can discard a card. And if
I
you
can't keep a
do,
Masticore.
yeah, and if you do, you can just destroy non-permanent, which lets you destroy cards like Null Rod or Stony Silence.
Yeah,
So this is actually how you can beat the hate cards. That's why the
I
Masticore is there.
understand.
Yeah.
Yeah, so at the tournament, I was playing Blue Black Scam. I started the tournament on Saturday with two new rod in the sideboard
Yeah.
and two dress down. I ended up just losing to Painter twice, casting Dress Down, and being Red Elemental blasted. And then I saw the ELM second place blue black scam deck had in the sideboard one Badlands, two Meltdown. And I think that is very smart. And I mean, I did that on Sunday. Didn't get paired in any matchup where that mattered, but I think that it's much better than Dress Down, playing Meltdown, splashing Meltdown.
Yeah, Meltdown is just like so strong. Like the thing with Meltdown is it just destroys your mana on your Saga tokens or whatever. Like playing Painter, playing this combo, Meltdown is just so hard to beat. I
And
think
also
I
just
think it's a good
doesn't get
idea
red
to actually splash for it.
yeah, it doesn't get Blue Elemental blasted, which was honestly the reason why I lost a couple of games. All right, let's continue. Second place, Yannick Neleman on Lens. This is a version of Lens without any copy of Elvish Reclaimer. So force your resistance. Only
This
like no fight or push target, nothing.
Sphere lands. I mean, I always liked this deck. I never pulled the trigger and played it in a tournament, but I always feel like, wow, it's supposed to be fun to play a tournament with lands. Then I remember I played against a Storm twice per tournament, but I guess this version can actually beat the Storm sometimes with Spheres, I will say. But,
Yeah, I could see that.
like, I mean, if you play a
This
Storm,
is
Storm game 1 and you play a Sphere, they're probably, like, not
yeah, I
going to
believe
have the
that
easier time of their life, so.
this is Ali's Lands, right? He top aided the Mox playoff.
Yeah, very similar. It is the
Uh,
same list, yeah. I
yeah.
think they call them F6 lands or something like this.
Yeah, he has the Sword Supply share in the sideboard
Yep.
for the blue black matchup
Yep.
and the chokes as well. In the third place, we have Jacques Amon, and it's one of the many color piles that we will see in this top eight. He's playing full five color, splashing black for Orcish Bowmaster, green for Uro Halfling, blue for blue cards, white for plows, and red for fourth Orlingus.
This
And for
as
the One Ring.
greedy as it
And
gets.
for
Like,
yeah, in the sideboard, you see it well. There's a full playset of Carpet of Flowers in a
I mean,
60
you play
bucks.
5 colors, might as well just play carpet, so you might fix her. I mean, even play Caracas. Like, yeah, this deck is as greedy as
Even
it
plus
gets.
Karak.
I mean, I don't
And
think
the
it's bad. I'm
planes.
just saying it's greedy.
Yeah, yeah.
Is this
This
good?
is
I don't
like
know.
greedy.
Probably fine. Like,
That's for
I think
sure.
it's okay, but I
Four,
think you can probably shave 1 color. I think 5 is too many. My
or even
experience.
one Uro. You want to play four
No,
Uros?
I don't like 4 euros. You know that.
You get surgical.
I like 3
But he
euros.
had three for some negation, so I guess this players wanted more blue pitch.
Thing is, Force Negation.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
Force Negation is one of the best blue cards you can play to pitch. So might as well just play, more because it's also castable.
in fourth place, there's a good friend of mine, the GP champion, Claudio Bonanni. He top aided with four copies of Up the Beanstalk. And this is a card that, we were expecting to see in Legacy. In Modern, we saw it in four copies in Claudio's deck. Up the Beanstalk in combinations with Leyline Binding and three Terminus. He said Leyline Binding was great. He would play up to four, cutting Prismatic, and he already was playing Tracers to Plowshares. So, yeah, I mean, the more up the beanstalk you play, the better Leyline Binding gets,
I mean, this
and
is
yeah, a couple
wild. I mean,
of
Up the Beanstalk might just be also good. I mean, I just realized Up the Beanstalk plays very well with Force of Will.
Force of Will. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
that's strong,
Yeah,
because suddenly Force of Will doesn't cost you a card. That's big business, I would say.
yeah, yeah. He mentioned how he got to win Counter War just by drawing cards off of the beanstalk during the Counter War, just something that you don't um, get to often do. But yeah, again, Claudio's again a very good control player. The four colors deck don't stop; they continue. Remember, the reason to play those decks is Blue Black Scam. Like Blue Black Scam was most likely the most popular deck at the tournament, and just got preyed upon by these decks. Again, I lost to it so easily in the tournament. In the fifth place, we have Niv Shmuli, which is it's a player from Israel who often comes for this first season and in my Twitch chat a lot. And he was playing one Nisa, Resurgent Animist, and one Omnat Locus of Creation as the sole target. And yeah, outside of that, just your classic four color pile with Source of Plowshares and
Yeah, I mean, Nif is
Veil of
another.
Summer.
Yeah, he's another regular of control decks. I mean, this is probably a situation where you have to choose between the One Ring and the Abdi Beanstalk, probably. And it's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
clear which one is better, honestly.
Yeah, 3 copies of the One Ring in this one.
Well, it's
We
very hard to
continue.
decide which piles are better. Like, they're so similar, it will require a lot of work to actually be like, yeah, this is better.
Yeah, after 3 4 color deck, there's in the top 8 there's a deck that just completely crushes those 4 color deck, which is Boros Initiative. In fact, Claudio at the ELM said he played against this deck twice and just got his tournament ended after playing against 2 initiative decks. I believe you also, Javier, went 5-1 in when we played the team event, losing to Boros Initiative
Yeah,
as
initiative
well.
is rough, and they didn't even have
Yeah,
fourth Orlingas before. Imagine now, even worse. I
for
guess
the first
Orlingas is better
time.
for control. I guess actually, right? Like, it's good in both decks, but it's probably better for control decks because now they can catch up before they call in. I would say.
Yeah, for the first time, we've already seen Troll, Lord Reveal, Generosant, and Oliphant, and we finally see Eagles of the North showing up in Constructed in this Boros Initiative deck with Solitude, and you have 2 planes and 2 plateau, as well as you just can drop it into play with the final chapter of the initiative. 3 counters on it, pump your
Or
team,
just pay
and
6 mana, man. Just pump 6 mana, Eagles flying. You know.
yeah, you have Chrome Mox as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Pump all the
four
tokens.
copies of four Thurlingus and 4 Fable.
And this deck is just what it
Uh,
is. It's just a strong deck. Obviously, this will be very weak against hate, but this deck is. I mean, they banned the white plumber or whatever. Imagine how good this will be with a plumber. Like, we will be talking about the best deck, the very easily the best deck, I think.
We would have a much different metagame though. We wouldn't have all this control
No,
decks in the
absolutely.
top
Yeah, I'm saying,
eight.
I'm saying like
We
this
would
deck
have
is good.
Delvers.
Like, this deck does not play bad cards at this point. Like, it is, it's not like they're gonna draw Thalias and such. They just like play Fables and Eorlingas. Like, now they're
Yeah,
not. Go ahead.
there's also your favorite one Lila of the Void, one Lila of Sanctity in the sideboard.
Love it. I can only love it. But I'm saying, like, now this deck plays good cards. Like, the fact that their average top deck now can be cards like, Fable or Lingas, or like, on top of the 8 initiative cards, make it so you can actually lose games to this deck even against being a scam or being like control. You can just lose a top deck war, which is way different than what happened against the white initiative deck, if you remember. And that's why I think this deck has legs. I don't know.
Go to the 7th place. This player, Guerrieri Salvio, listened to the Karnies episode where Anthony said that you cannot play Ether Vial alongside Preordain, and said, you know what? I'm gonna play creatures, Ether Vial, Brainstorm, because, why do I have to listen to Anthony Lee from the Karnies podcast?
Well, Brainstorm and Vile play very well together, as you know. Like, they actually play well. I mean, I like this deck. This is when I see this deck, I think of, oh, this is like Cephalid but without the combo, and this is pretty
Also,
much what
this
the deck
player
is.
didn't know what to cut at 80 cards, but sorry, at 81 cards, didn't know what to cut and said, you know what? I'm playing 81. This is
Yeah,
too many
I'm
cards.
playing 80. Doesn't matter one more. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
exactly.
these Esper Vile decks actually have been around for a while, and they keep always, like, whenever I try them, they keep feeling like they're okay. Like, they're like, I never like them too much, and I always obviously like always end being like, yeah, I'm just gonna play Cephalic Breakfast instead because it's the same deck, but it's not. This is obviously like way more stable. And my worry about this, because like I ended up playing in the Mox challenge. I played white black Texas, was the fact that Strix is a very important card in this deck, and Strix now is way weaker because of the orcs. And I think that's the issue
Yeah.
this deck also might have run into the tournament.
Yeah,
Uh,
I'm surprised there's no orcs in this deck.
well, I mean, you can play one, but yeah, I will actually. I don't like no orcs at all. But the thing is, if you think to the top 8, like, orcs is good against the 4 colors, but they're also kind of prepared anyway.
Yeah.
Like, if you're playing 3 Terminus, you rather have cards like Mystic or Meddling Mage or Strix and Orcs specifically, maybe. So it's tricky. I don't know. I don't fully understand this deck too much anymore, I think. But when I tried it, I felt like Strix being bad against Orcs was too much for it. It definitely worked for Slavio, but yeah, I don't know where to go
Salvio,
here.
I'm assuming.
Huh?
I'm assuming it's Salvio, but yeah, I don't know.
Ah, Slavio.
Uh,
I mean, yeah, I'm not very good at Italian
no,
names.
no, no. Yeah, yeah. No, I was wondering. actually. Oh yeah, I was wondering. Up the Beanstalk works very well with the Yori index. I'm surprised. I mean, maybe like the four color Yori index just aren't that good, so that's why we didn't see them.
We could try them, huh? I think App the Beanstalk can
Yeah,
actually work. I mean, we talked about this last episode. We're saying, like, wow, in Modern it will be sick. Well, Legacy, we can play them. You can just play four Beanstalks, all the forceful cards. Like, it was Claudia, right? The one with Beanstalk? Claudia deck.
yeah, Claudio, yeah.
Claudia deck can actually play Yorion.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I asked Meme about it. He said he doesn't play Yorion. He said it.
Well, that's not a very long answer.
I know.
But this deck could play Yorion. And suddenly Yorion can easily become like a draw four, whatever. And now we're talking. Like, if Yorion draws cards when you play it, you draw two plus cards more. That's a whole different thing. Because your issue with Yorion, usually in these decks, is like you don't. It's not that bad to play 80 cards in this control decks in Legacy, but you get Yorion and you don't do anything with it. You play Yorion and you're just like, sure, play 4 or 5. Nice. But if you play up the Beanstalk, it's a whole different thing.
Yeah. And finally, we have one of these tempo decks that are so common and so good in Legacy. They did not show up until now in the top eight. Blue Black Scam, Grixis Delver, they were like just killed in both ELM and Four Season. Although Manuel Brudi, who's easy money marksman on Magic Online, he I believe came second in the Mox showcase just last week with the same archetype, and then top eighted the Fourth Season with the same list, same 75. Just Blue Black Scam. That's the name, although it's just you don't really. I mean, sure, when you do Griff Reanimate, it feels like a scam, but it's
It's
much less
Blue Black
common than
Tempo, like Blue
modern.
Black Delver
Yeah,
at this
Merc
point,
type, Blue Black
like
Merc
Blue Black
type.
cards, Blue Black Tempo.
Yeah,
I mean, this deck seems like it's not very well positioned. Like, if you think about the metagame, it's just like I can see why this didn't do well. Obviously, Manuel apparently just hit the sweet spot for them, but like, yeah, I will not like to play this deck without a plan against other decks, which actually, I mean, Minor Misstep is a plan against Carpet. There's like the sideboard seems quite sound, but
yeah. Minor Misstep is for the mirror match as well to counter Reanimate. It's
I mean,
quite
this deck
cool
just
there.
looks good. Like, this is probably the best deck in Legacy. The issue though is obviously being the best deck doesn't mean you're gonna win a lot, because if people are aiming for you, that's not enough to be the best deck. But I think it is the best deck. Like, if like the
Yeah,
metagame
yeah,
was more spread, I would be happy playing this. As now, I think it's risky, but only like
yeah. I think
cannot very, very risky. This is a little bit risky. Go.
yeah. You look at the top eight, and I think that there's a lot of bad matchups in this top eight, and it's just
That's
you
the
know
issue. Yeah, there are bad matchups. They're also like not super bad matchups. Like
they.
how a bad matchup can be with this deck is just like, okay, it's just bad, but like
On,
you always have a
I
chance.
think like yeah, four carpet of flowers, two carpet of flowers, three carpet of flowers. Like that card, I mean, that card is just so good against these like wasteland days strategy that like you have to cyber out some wasteland in days, but your deck is just worse than your opponent, and you can still win, but you're just registering a worse decks both game one, two, and three. I think
Yeah, you
than
probably
your
rely a
opponent,
lot on the grief scam actually for cyber games. Like, if you
and
scam them
they
early.
have removals.
Yeah, yeah. No, definitely. I mean,
Yeah,
obviously,
they
it's
have
a good
that.
matchup. I mean, those four color decks always been fine against Delver decks, but I think at this point that yeah, this blue black also lacks like flexibility against those strategies.
He actually got paired against Claudio in the side event on Saturday. He didn't have Beanstalk. He added it that night, I'm assuming. But yeah, I lost. I lost 2-1, but the Carpet of Flowers pulled so much. Like once you start with Carpet of Flowers and it resolves, you just only not have to flood. Like if you have
That's it.
spells, you're just gonna
But
win.
imagine if you had
Like
Yorion. If you had Yorion, it would be like, I'm gonna draw so many cards. I wanna play. I wanna play. I mean,
yeah,
I cannot play Legacy because I have to test for Worlds. Because after this podcast, actually,
but
I'm gonna go
but
straight to testing.
yeah,
But I would like to
yeah. But
play.
then like
This. I mean, Mango, you could try it. Do you still make?
Yorion has Urine has the problems that then you need like four capital flowers in your sideboard if you want to cast on turn
That's
one,
fine, but you can
and
play
then
four carpets.
you have less I don't know 8 for 8 cast or 8 for mono red moon. It's just I mean we like mono white works I think with death and taxes because it doesn't need a cyber slot like it you don't have to cover everything But like I think like once you have a deck like this, the Yorion just takes away your ability to draw Saberkite in your opening game because surely you have cantrips to draw it. But Carpet is great on turn one, or I don't know, Force of Vigor is great on turn one, or
I'm not sure
stuff like
that's true,
that.
Mango. Like Carpet is still great in turn two. Like Carpet in turn one does nothing. Carpet is good after turn two, three, or four. Like Carpet is good at any point actually. Like turn one Carpet doesn't do anything. Turn like it just
It well, what turn one Carpet does is that it lets you cast things in the early game to help, finding more things like it lets you cast, I don't know, Plow and Play Around Days, or just Uro plus, I don't know. Like at easily said Narset, which is a pretty expensive card. I guess he cut it
yeah, but
in
it's
in
like
these
okay,
new
let's say you
ones.
go turn
It
one
lets you cast.
Ponder, Mango, and then turn two Carpet. It accomplishes the same. Like you can still play your early game. Like cantrips finding Carpet is still good enough, I think. Not for Force of Negation or Surgical. That's a different card. But Carpet specifically,
You
turn to Carpet still wins the game, I think.
you let me go grief, whereas you could just cast carpet on turn one.
Well, you can hide the
I'm just
carpet
thinking
on the
about how
Ponder or the Brainstorm. So
I'm just
cantrips are
thinking
good.
about how the game
I
went.
think it's
But
worth
yeah,
trying, Mango. I think it's worth trying Jorian with Winstall. I think finally there's a payoff and legacy for Jorian. I think before we had none, and I think now we have one. I think that changes the rules of
yeah.
the game. I would say.
We have to go back to test Legacy later for Eternal Weekend, which is gonna be at the mid of November.
Yeah, but
Uh,
first Worlds, please. I'm forbidden. I could not play a single game of Legacy on Vintage until after
oh yeah,
Worlds.
yeah. I'm not asking you that. Actually, starting with today, we have Wilds of Eldraine drafts. So I'm excited to dive into them because I'll be playing the limited open in Vegas. I'll be going to Zenny's testing house. So I'll be doing lots of drafts over there and sealed.
All right, I think it's time to actually go back to testing. So I think that's gonna be it for today. Would you agree?
Yeah, I agree. Thank you so much for having this modern and legacy episode, and I wish you the best, the most fun in testing.
Thank you.
It is fun if you have great teammates to hang around with the whole time,
Yeah.
and I'm sure you have that. I'll see you. What about next week? Will you
In
be
2 weeks
around
we
next
see
week,
each
or do you
other. I
all?
think. Yeah. We'll
No, no,
see.
I mean for the podcast. Will you be able to record next week, or do you
I
already
don't
go to
think so. I
Vegas?
don't think it'll be next week. I think next week I'm gonna be out already traveling to Vegas. So we'll see ourselves physically in 1 week and a half or so. I guess 2 weeks and the podcast. Yeah, just two
All
weeks
right,
of break.
I'll be able to bring somebody on the cast for next week, so our viewers, our listeners can can get an episode. And again, thank you to those who support on Patreon. Of course, we have patreon.com/Karnies where we can talk with each other and share your deck ideas and such. And that's it. Thank you so much.
Okay, thanks for listening. Cheers.
Bye.